we leave Le Barcarès via the Mediterranean beach path to the Agly River, then cross and head south to Saint-Marie-le-Mer and west to Villalonga de la Salanca. We go around Bonpas and follow the Tête River into Perpignan, a mostly flat 22-kilometer ride. It's market day on the square, and we begin our last ride of this tour. On market day, it's busy, but without cars, it's walkable and rideable. We exit Le Barcarès via the palm-lined beach path. It's mid-morning, and other cyclists are heading out for their day's adventure. Soon we turn away from the beach and follow the multi-purpose path for bikes and pedestrians. These roads are designated Voie Verte, greenways or pistes cyclables. On our left, there are trails that lead to the Mediterranean beaches. Then the route heads north along the River Agly. Here we're riding beside the River Agly with other riders enjoying the river view. Although this path continues upriver for 12 more kilometers, our destination requires that we leave this trail and cross the Agly. First we pass under the bridge, then immediately loop back around for a short climb on a ramp up onto the bridge to cross the river. Here's what it looks like. On a busy day, the narrow path requires some patience. Once across the bridge, we follow a path that takes us through a tunnel onto a bike path that parallels the busy D81. All this safely negotiated on a protected bike path. In another kilometer, we encounter another roundabout diversion, keeping us safely away from traffic. This area is popular for its campgrounds and amusement areas. After about 400 meters, we're back on the Voie Verte once again. Here is one of the nicest bicycle amenities we've seen, a dedicated bike pedestrian bridge over the Boudigul River. 3 kilometers after the first bridge, we reach a second bike pedestrian bridge, this time over the Aiguille de l'Oca Canal. The first town on our itinerary is the pretty Saint-Marie-le-Mer. This park-like setting is adjacent to the Saint-Marie-le-Plage, which is in the opposite direction from our route to Perpignan. The route cleverly takes us under the roundabout and keeps cyclists away from the busy traffic. At the exit, the path continues on a path away from traffic. We wind through passing palms, cacti, and flowering shrubs as we travel eastward. As we get closer to Spain, the scenery is already taking on a Spanish flavor. The Commune de Saint-Marie has taken special care to add natural beauty to the cycle tracks. This well-signed intersection takes us on another path toward Perpignan as we continue following bike lanes alongside the D12. In Villalonga de la Salanca, we enter Catalan country, where Catalan is spoken as well as French and Spanish. There's a bike lane on and off through town. After the roundabout at the end of town, there's a slight detour with signs directing us to keep right, then turn to a two-way bike path that joins the D12. Going through Bonpas, we encounter 3 roundabouts. In the first, we negotiate the intersection of two highways where we are directed from the D12 to the D31. Here is what it looks like at street level. The transition is well signed and points toward Perpignan. The track continues on the right side of the highway, winding its way toward the center of Bompa. This path is designated as Voie Mixte, for use by cyclists and pedestrians. In the second roundabout, we make a nearly 300-degree left turn to follow the D31, as we are guided through the roundabout from the right to the left side of the highway. This turn covers 100 meters in distance as it circles the roundabout. The important thing is to use a hand signal to warn motorists that you are continuing in the circle and not using another exit. At the third roundabout, we cross back to the right side of the road once again and exit the highway on the designated bike path. The exit is easy to miss, but fortunately, a well-placed direction marker points our way to Perpignan Centre. We glimpse the Tete River on our left as the path leads us toward Perpignan. By staying on the left bank of the Tete, we can avoid the city traffic in most of Perpignan. At street level, the track passes under the D82 bridge and continues to follow the course of the Tete. Immediately, there is a fork in the path, and we follow straight ahead beside a large parking lot adjacent to the Perpignan Exposition Center. This path continues for 700 meters between the Tete and the center. At the end of the Exposition Center, we reach another fork in the Tete bike path where we follow a sign pointing to Perpignan Centre. This leads us to an intersection where the path ends and we proceed to cross with the crosswalk. Here we rejoin the D31 and follow on unmarked streets toward the Pont Joffre Bridge into Perpignan. After about 700 meters, we reach another intersection. This is where we turn to cross the Tete River over Pont Joffre. The bridge was under construction in 2019, but we can see a new bike track on our right. At the end of the bridge, we make a left turn and enter Perpignan Centre. We use the bike bus lane to the D88. We'll be turning left onto Cours-Lazare-Escarguil and then a right on the next street, Avenue General de Gaulle. We checked this out on Google Street View prior to our ride to take some uncertainty out of the final approach. The bike bus lane leads directly to our hotel. This was conveniently located with easy walking to the Gare and all the sites in Perpignan. In 1963, the artist Salvador Dali declared that the Perpignan Gare was the center of the universe. He captured it in the surreal 1965 painting, The Gare de Perpignan. Today, a surreal sculpture of Dali by Eric Pritchard is seated above Place de Catalogne with his eyes facing the Gare, 500 meters down Avenue General de Gaulle. Like many French cities, art is abundant, including several statues by Aristide Maillot and one of its oldest statues commemorating painter Hyacinthe Rigaud in a square bearing his name. This statue of Moses in front of the Ancien Palais de Justice dates back to the 15th century. Much of the architecture in Perpignan dates back to the Middle Ages. The Castellet is the historic gateway to Perpignan. Formerly a prison, it now is the home of Casa Perel, Museum of Catalan History. Perpignan has much to see for walking tours. Start at the Castellet on the Quai de Vauban, cross the Basse River into the Old Town. The Quai Vauban is the old river quay, now converted into a beautiful pedestrian street. It's a nice walk along the Basse riverside, tributary to the Tete in the Old Town. The edge is decorated with flowers and lined with shops, restaurants, and bars. Cathedral Saint-Jean was begun in 1324 by King Sancho de Mallorca. His tomb is in the sacristy. The 14th and 15th century altarpiece, the organ, has painted panels and carvings. The entire quarter of the old town of Perpignan is taken up by the Palais du Roi de Mallorca. This 13th century palace was for nearly a century the center of the Kingdom of Mallorca. Once through the citadel gates, you'll discover the vast medieval chateau with its central courtyard, wells, arches, steps, and high stone walls. The vast two-story arcaded courtyard, the frescoed and tiled royal chapel, and the great Gothic hall display a strong Spanish Moorish influence. Here you can see yet another of Aristide Maillot's sculptures. From the top you can enjoy the breathtaking view over the plains of Roussillon and the Pyrenees. The medieval castle, which was converted into the royal palace, is the square building that crowns the complex. The angles of the walls and the windows of the palace are cut from the pink, blue, red, and white marbles of the Pyrénées Orientales. While in Perpignan, a day trip to Collioure is a must. From the center of the universe, the Perpignan Gare, it's a 20-minute train ride for less than $10. This little town has saved its medieval soul, and much appears as it has for centuries. The Catalonian port and fishing village, with its medieval heritage and colorful sun-drenched Mediterranean coastline, attracted the likes of Matisse, Derain, and Picasso. Its history is an odyssey through time. Collioure was also a Moorish stronghold and the site of another castle. The imposing royal palace was the ancient summer residence of the kings of Mallorca, a medieval fortress, and finally the prison that housed refugees of the Spanish Civil War. The well-preserved town center and beaches are opportunities for walking in the vineyards and hills. A popular local site is the oldest windmill in the region, the Moulin de la Cortina. It has lovely views down across the town and coastline. Back in Perpignan, the Place de la République is the central square of Perpignan. It is located in what is called the hypercenter, the heart of the old town. It's a very large square surrounded by cafes, restaurants, and various shops. As a central square, most of the streets and alleys of the city center arrive here. A great spot to end a perfect day at the center of the universe.